I've seen many a times that we tend to have a cop-out mechanism saying that we'll take this day off because we want to identify our why, or we'll take the week off because we want to identify our why, and actually delay action. Well, here's the thing. If you delay action, you're never going to identify why, because there's nothing that motivates you. Okay, so only by action you can identify your why. Okay, so don't use it as a cop-out mechanism. Okay, it never works. It never gets you what you want in the long term. Okay. And the reason I said at the preface of it that I can't give you a why is because yours will be very different than mine. I live as a, Kriti mentioned, I live in a space where in Bay Area where everyone is making good money, and I'm in the same technology space. So my goals are a bit different, and kind of the factors that affect my life are different. So my why is different, and that's why the why is different. So now what I'll do is I'll walk you through my journey and my schedule, how it looks like, and share some pointers, what I've identified work and what doesn't work. Okay. So first things first, when you want to actually manage your time, you should not look at it as just activity management or managing your time or boxing everything in a schedule. No, it's much more than that. You have to also look at managing your energy, which is basically identifying what are the most energy draining activities. Okay. In my case, and that's something that doesn't add value to you. In my case, that was cooking and cleaning. I'm a single guy, live alone. Cooking and cleaning was a big time waste for me. Okay. And that took considerable amount of energy out of my schedule as well, my time, my body as well. So I had to change that. So now I either order or I cook something very quick, like boiled something and spices and stuff like that. Or I'll in US at least we have this luxury of having food bars. So Nutrilite has organic food bars that I can consume. So that's kind of makes my the most energy draining activity, the cooking and cleaning part, get out of the way. Okay, so that's first. So find out what's the most energy draining activity in your life. Okay, and try to, if you can get rid of it, try to get rid of it or find an alternative for it. That's the first thing to get started. Secondly, now you have to add and maintain energy. Okay, you talked about getting rid of energy draining activities. Now you have to talk about adding and maintaining energy. Now, here's the thing: how I go for it. Now, in order to add energy, I need to consume something. So I consume the men's multivitamins pack that's available in US. In India, there's other set of multivitamins. I think vitamin B, vitamin K are the essential ingredients there. So look into study those products because that add value to you. This second is, now we talked about adding energy. Also talk about maintaining energy, right? Now that energy needs to be maintained through something. So I consume like 1 or 1.5 cans of excess every day just to manage my schedule overall. Okay. So that kind of three things handles my energy requirements. One is getting rid of the energy draining activities or replacing them. Secondly, adding and maintaining energy throughout the day. Okay. If you want to get something done, motivation is good. Time management skills, all you can have is good. But if you don't have the energy to get through them, that's a challenge. So it's important to first get rid of energy draining, add and maintain energy. Okay. Now, let's get to capitalizing your schedule. Okay, and that's a very important piece, I feel. And there's a psychologist, clinical psychologist, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He spoke about this. From his clinical experience and research, he talked about that it is vital to have a fixed time when you get up. Doesn't matter when you go to sleep, but it's important to have a fixed time when you wake up. Okay, because that conditions your body to release a certain set of hormones that energizes you for the day, that gets you ready for the day, and your mind gets motivated to get ready for the day. Okay. So having a fixed schedule when you wake up is very important. It doesn't matter when you go to sleep. I had been fortunate that my father was a person who made me wake up at around 6 a.m. Doesn't matter if I went to sleep at 5 a.m. And that kind of imbibed in my schedule. So identify what works best for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you all have to wake up at 6. Find a particular time that works for you, but stick to it. Like solid that time you will wake up every single day. Okay. For me, that schedule now it tends to be around. I wake up around 6:30. I go to sleep around at around 2 a.m. And the first thing you do out of when you wake up is very important. So don't check your phones when you get up. Okay, don't check Instagram quickly. No, the first thing you do when you get out of bed, okay, when you wake up, is get out of bed and make your bed. Clean up the space. Get the feeling of accomplishment right off the get go. Okay, when the tidiness and the accomplishment feeling of making your bed will get you motivated enough to for the rest of the day to carry out the rest of the activities of the day. So focus on that. First thing you do is tidy your bed, make your bed, and get that feeling of accomplishment and tidiness. Okay. Don't listen to any song. I used to do that. I am a big music buff. I listen to a lot of songs, sample music from across the world, and that drains energy. It also keeps your mind foggy because you're not thinking about what needs to be done during the day. You're not even thinking about yourself. You're just into some media. Okay. Similarly, don't listen to podcasts. I would suggest, but if it works for you, it works for you. Okay. The same reason why I didn't listen to podcasts when I woke up, right after I woke up, is because of the same thing. I went foggy. I was focused on the podcast sometimes, but I was missing out on everything I was doing. I was just going through like it like a robot, which is fine, but you want to gather your thoughts in the morning. So uh, look at it at what's working for you there. I won't really necessarily tell you what to do there. I don't do it because it gets in the way of me processing my early morning. Okay. Now, moving forward, you're getting ready for the best thing to do is get the bull by the horns, which means not be lazy and get freshen up. Okay. So don't eat or drink before you freshen up during the day. Okay. And I've been a big, let's say, propagator of this message, I would say. And Arun and Maria, my mentors, can confirm on that, how big I am on this. Um, don't eat or drink anything. The first thing you do is always freshen up because otherwise you'll delay the day. And I'll talk about why and what will happen if you don't do what I'm saying right here. But if you do that, if you follow what I mentioned, I can guarantee you'll be ready for the day. Okay. And realize much of the world is waking up right now while you are ready to basically live the day. Okay. Which is a huge added bonus because you're now squeezing time to immeasurable proportions for yourself, okay, compared to anyone else out there. So you're already getting ahead. Okay. Now have a base plan or a structure for the day, meaning have some kind of some sound let's say design or structure for your day, mentioning about what things that are needed to get done during that day. Okay. And start with the most difficult ones and go for the easiest ones later. Okay. Because the easiest ones anyways take lesser energy, so you can handle them later. Go for the most difficult ones first, but have a base plan or a structure. I'm not saying have everything in fixed schedule, like 4 to 5 this, 5 to 6 this. No, but have some base structure of what needs to get done during that day. Okay. And you can plan this a night before. This is what I do usually. For a night before, I kind of have a sense of what are the most difficult tasks for the day, what I need to get done that day. Okay. So have a structure like that. Okay. So for me, in that sense, if I go in that order after I wake up and do all those things that I mentioned, I take care of the starter stuff in the morning by 10 a.m. Okay. Take on my full-time job and finish it off by 2 or 3 p.m. basically. 4 to 6 is kind of going on the more social media end. Okay. Thinking of all the things I have to do and produce and how to gain social media. The 3 to 4 time is basically a time where I could slow down a bit. Okay. So in the middle of the day, 3 to 4, I get some time to actually slow down where I could may take a, let's say, 20-minute nap or so, or do something else, or do some less energy consuming activities. Okay. You do what works best for you. 6 to 9 is totally business activities. So basically reaching out to people, contacting, making client lists, process appointments. Then I'll go forward with assignments if I have any to get done during that day and I have a deadline, let's say. And then 11 to 2 again is back on the startup. So this is a typical day for me in general. Okay, that's how my day looks like. But I'm not a robot. So on such a not non-typical day, I have other things to do as well. Like I do sometimes go watch a movie or go out with my colleagues or some friends or go for dinner or a date. Whatever works for you, you do what you want. Okay. But so the only way you can do it productively and not feel guilty about it is if you have already designed a structure, basic plan for the day. If you have that in mind, then you'll never feel guilty about doing or enjoying things. Okay. The only time we feel guilty of anything, whether missing out or not missing out, is when we have not really planned the day and we have not accomplished what we wanted to during that day. So don't do that. Have the structure. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, the structure is very important because that's really the key. If you tackle the most difficult activities first, okay, you get a sense of accomplishment for the entire day that nothing else can provide to you. Okay, because in your mind you're thinking you can accomplish anything because the most difficult one is done. Okay, this is the important principle to understand. Everything is in our body, or anything in our day happens through our mind, and the first thing is to get it as motivated as we can through our actions, not just words, actions. Okay, which is an important principle we tend to miss sometimes. So let me talk about, I shared a lot of things here about how to get through your day, right? How do you be most effective? Let me tell you where will you get lost. Okay, and I'll tell you, compromise on even one thing, like, and all your plans will be in a rubble in a few days. Okay, compromise on even one thing, like, and it will be in a rubble. Don't procrastinate. I even do that even right now, because what happens sometimes is that when I have some work and which is too boring for me, like the assignments, I already know everything, it's too boring for me, I don't want to do, so I procrastinate and I delay it to a point, and it causes problems later. I've shown Arun that example a couple of weeks ago on a Wednesday. That happened to me. I ran into problems with the, let's say, entrepreneurship seminar when because I procrastinated on my assignments. Okay, so and that happens. So don't procrastinate. I'm still getting better on this. So, but this is where you'll get lost. You procrastinate, you'll lose it. If you don't have plans and you don't follow them, you'll everything will be in rubble. Your motivation will go down drastically. Okay, this is literally from experience. The other thing I mentioned, right? Compromise on getting up early, and you can argue with me. Hey, I'm not a morning person. I'm a night person. All those things. I won't go. I'm not going to argue with you. You do you. But check when you do that. Okay, when you wake up at any arbitrary times and time in the morning, check how do you feel. How's your mood for the few days when you do that. Okay, is it consistent or is it sometimes high, sometimes low? What's going on? Identify it for yourself. I can guarantee it's erratic. Okay, it's not consistent. The only way to have a consistent mood is to have a consistent schedule. Okay, so compromise on even getting up early, and I would not argue with you because I've learned from experience. But I'll see how your mood is for a few days. Compromise on, let's say, eating or drinking without freshening up, getting freshened up, and watch how a few hours of the morning just goes into some tasks that are not even intended for that day, that are not even priority. Here's what will happen. Okay, you don't freshen up in the morning, and you start eating, drinking, and all those things. You're not freshened up. So now, what will happen is sometimes you'll get sucked in some cleaning activity, something that will come up, and you're just taking off care of something around the house. Just because you have not freshened up, now you think, oh, I'm not fresh enough. Let me get something cleaned up around the house, or some other activity would come up, or oh, I had to help someone with some activity, so let me get that done out of the way because they've been asking me to do a favor, or things like that. Smaller things. Hey, I'm not freshened up, so this is, and I do live with my roommate, so let me cook this time. Things like that. It will come up, and you'll realize that you have missed a few hours of the day in some tasks that were not even a priority, that you could have done later, but you still did it. And you used the most energetic you were on those tasks. Okay. And you realize, okay, already you say this story to yourself, already I'm a little late. It's okay if I'm a little more late. And sometimes you don't even get the activity done because uh, that you were supposed to do, and you avoid it altogether. What will happen is that the first 12 hours of the day are gone, and now the depression will hit because now the first 12 hours are gone. Okay, the rest 12 hours is only what you have for the day to get all the things done that were actually priority. But because you didn't freshen up in the morning, now most of the day is gone, like half of the day is gone, because on some useless tasks that were not even a priority. Okay, so important to note that, don't compromise it on it. My mentors Arun Murray will can tell you in hurdles how big I am on these things. I never compromise on that. Now, the last time I did this talk, I actually wrapped up here. But after a while, I also gave some thoughts on what other energy draining activities are there, and how can you better manage energy as well. So a couple of things, actually two things. So one thing is that don't plan an event like a date night or going out or with friends or anything like that on a weekday. If you do that on a weekday, the next morning is going to be tiresome. You'll wake up tired. Okay, so don't plan any like a event going out event on a weekday. It doesn't matter if the office colleagues and they're asking you and it's chill time. Okay, it's a hectic day. Don't plan it on a weekday because it will leave you tired the next morning. Okay, because you'll spend some time in laughing, walking, moving around, interacting with people. All these things drain energy and they will have an effect the next morning. Okay, so don't do that. I've done that from experience, going on a date and whatnot. It doesn't turn out well. Okay, and then for the next morning. The second thing is watch what your habit is while you're sleeping. So here's my habit. Uh, I need something playing around me when I'm sleeping. So usually I play some music and I go to fall asleep. Now check your habit. What's your habit? If you sleep in pin drop silence, even better. Good. But if you don't, check what you're doing. So for a week or so, I tried watching like putting on a episode of a series, House MD. Okay, it's about a doctor who is really narcissistic and things like that. So I put an episode and fell asleep. In my dreams, I was living that life and I was doing all those things. And in the morning, I would wake up tired because my mind is constantly running on living a life that kind of I relate to. So in the morning, I'm waking up tired because my dream was tiring. Okay, so these things also become so. Look at what you're listening to or hearing when before you go to sleep. Okay, this is a subtle point. It may or may not happen to everyone. It has happened to me. I'm sure it happens to some people as well. Where you watch something before sleeping and the same dream comes, and you're running around in that dream, and you wake up with less energy. Okay, so monitor your energy levels because that's what you will get you through the day. Okay, with that, I'm done, and that's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for listening and the opportunity, Arun and Mariam, and back to our awesome host, Priti.